Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, it is Salty Saturday, and I'm most salty, I think, at the traitors. The people who uh, got voted into office and then tried to end people's ability to vote. That's who I'm saltiest at. Great news. Effing cable news is openly talking about it now. Former Republicans are openly talking about how gross and terrible their party is and has always been. I am going to be insufferable. I just want to warn you ahead of time. Your old pal Jake is going to be just the worst in about a year, because I fucking called it. Want to say it again though. Republican Party is likely, in my opinion, to go away. Democrats will become the new conservatives, even if they end up with another party name. And we are going to become the new representatives of the left, no longer having to share our space with, frankly, conservatives like Chuck Schumer. Here's somebody else who appears to be arriving at that opinion.
Has spent the majority of his decades-long career getting Republicans elected to political office. But his latest book is a warning to the country, not just about the current state of the GOP, but what he says is its threat to American democracy. I spoke with Stewart earlier today about that book, The Conspiracy to End America: 5 Ways My Old Party is Driving Our Democracy Towards Autocracy. Stewart Stevens, welcome to the News Hour. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So in your book, you lay out 5 driving forces on the right that you say are working in concert basically to end our democracy. You list them as propagandists, the support of a major party, financiers, legal theories to legitimize actions, and shock troops. But I want to begin with this idea of support of a major party, because you draw a pretty alarming comparison. In the book, you write, what happened within the Republican Party in 2016 was a repeat of the rise of National Socialism in the 1920s and 1930s in Germany. You're arguing that the Republican establishment's acceptance of Mr. Trump echoed the German establishment's acceptance of Hitler. What are the parallels you're talking about here?
Yeah, it's interesting. For a long time, there was sort of a trope that anytime you compared anything to 1930s Germany or World War II, it reduced it to, sort of absurdity. But I take a very different view, because I think the parallels are striking. What happened in Germany was that the ruling class, mostly Prussian aristocrats, realized that they had lost touch with the working class. And they thought that they could control Hitler, that he would be someone who could connect them to the working class and take them into power. And it's really exactly what happened with the Republican Party. Mitch McConnell said that he was confident that Trump would change, that they would change Trump, that they were the mainstream conservative and Trump would adapt to that. And it just proved to be incredibly naive, and it's still playing out. And every chance the party has to turn.
Wait a minute, I'm just imagining. Imagine like the 1940s black and white Hitler footage, the Reich and all that stuff. And then just pan out, or just like, or not pan out, but pull out, and camera moves to the side, and you see like 2 German newscasters. Well, I think we can agree. This is the day Hitler became president. I don't know about you, but mein Führer looked very presidential up there when he was ranting and raving about the Jews. Yeah, I think this guy's assessment is pretty good. That's essentially what we had with Trump.
Against Trump, they go in the other direction, and they embrace him more.
There are some along the way who've rung the alarm so to speak. You know, that like Mitt Romney, for example, whose campaign you ran in 2012. He criticized Donald Trump, but then he later considered joining his cabinet. So you can't really argue that some folks didn't see the danger. Is the story here that they just chose to ignore it?
You know, it's a fascinating question because it is very difficult to find anyone in the Republican Party who will say in private that Donald Trump was a great leader, that Donald Trump is someone that they admire on any sort of personal level, and yet they basically turned over the party to him. And I think that what happened here was that Donald Trump, in some sort of animal instinct, realized that the Republican Party ultimately did not believe in all the things that we had said that we believed. What we said were values turned out to be marketing slogans. And that he realized that if he could give the party power, the party would go along with whatever he wanted. And that literally is what's happened now. And it's extraordinary. I don't think we've seen anything like this in American history, just a complete collapse of a party. But it's the reality. It's the world that we live in, and it's not going to change. He's probably going to be the nominee, and there's a good chance he'll be reelected president.
You do talk about the impact of money in the chapter on the...
I mean, this guy really let him have it. I think this guy wrote the book that he wrote because he understands there is no future for the Republican Party. Don't think for a minute... Good girl. Don't think for a minute that this guy does anything out of a sense of decency. He worked on Mitt Romney's campaign. He was willing to let homosexuals be treated as second-class citizens, even though there is no good reason for it, even though there was no study that said, this'll help. But he was willing to let that happen for his own benefit, his own little political benefit. Oh, the guy that I want to be president will be president. Then I'll get a pat on the back, get a big paycheck, and a bunch of people's lives will be ruined. Hooray! He's a villain, this motherfucker. However, he knows there is no future, or at least he believes there is no future for the Republicans. He said so in this interview, and he's doing the kind of talking I love it when a Republican turns on the party, because you get to hear what they wish we were saying all the time. How weird is it that he just came out and said, yeah, they didn't actually believe any of what they said they believed. Turns out all those things that they said were beliefs were just slogans. Yeah, you and I have been operating under that assumption because that is what the situation has been very clearly. But these motherfuckers cosplay as though the Republicans are an actual political party. It's wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me that we are in these times. But yeah, there's a guy that worked with Romney just admitting this party is being destroyed right now. It's going away right now. It's evaporating. And it was always a scam.
People who finance candidates like this, big money donors who you say are complicit in helping to destroy democracy. Why isn't there any kind of effort to get those big money donors off the sidelines to coalesce around another candidate that could potentially beat Mr. Trump if Republicans don't want him to be their candidate?
Yeah, I think this is a case in the primary where money's really not going to matter. Tim Scott supposedly, had backings of wealthy individuals who are going to put unlimited money in it. And it really didn't matter. There's not a market in the Republican Party of any size that is anti-Trump. This is the thing that is difficult for a lot of us to grasp. The Republican Party wants to be what Donald Trump has turned it into, or where Donald Trump has led it. The party is what there's nobody forcing them to support Donald Trump. They don't have to. Trump has made it acceptable to embrace your worst self. And once that becomes acceptable, it's very easy. It's, I think, sort of addictive. And now that's where the party is. It's become a grievance party, and primarily a white grievance party.
Stu, what about when you look at what's happening among House Republicans right now, their inability to elect a speaker? Is that dysfunction at all related to any of this, or is that separate and apart?
I think it's completely related to it. You know, at the core, there really is no governing principles to the Republican Party. I mean, what does it mean to be an American conservative today? I worked in the party for 30 years. I have no idea. And so when you lack that ability to unite a party over a higher purpose, you end up in these sort of Lord of the Flies.
I'll be back in just a moment, but I may pause this recording at an awkward time.
Battles that they're in now. So, you know, no one can stand up there and say to the Republican caucus, look, it's really important that X person be speaker because we have important business to do. There's just nothing there that anybody can point to and say, this is what the Republican Party stands for with any credibility.
Well, the book is The Conspiracy to End America: 5 Ways My Old Party is Driving Our Democracy Towards Autocracy. The author is Stuart Stevens. Stu, thank you for joining us. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.